Hey guys, I'm Darren.
And I'm John.
And we're the hosts of Oxygen's true crime podcast, Martinis and Murder.
If you love discussing and listening to true crimes while your hosts get boozy, you've come to the right place.
For new episodes that will leave you shaken and stirred, subscribe to Martinis and Murder now.
Welcome to the Rotoworld Baseball Podcast. I'm DJ Short, and I'm joined here by Drew Silva. It's been a while, man. How's it going?
Yeah, about a month since our last podcast, just before the wild card games. Had a really good postseason, I think, very entertaining. TV ratings were really good if you're into that sort of thing. Obviously, having the four biggest cities in the country represented in the championship series helped things in that regard. But I think just in general, really good baseball from some really stacked teams. The regular season was kind of boring towards the end. There weren't a lot of tight races because it was pretty top heavy. But, I mean, that made for a situation where we have a lot of really good teams in the postseason. You saw that with the Yankees making the run to the ALCS, and then obviously the World Series. The Dodgers and Astros, I think, were the two best teams in baseball this year. And they played like it over 7 games. Just really good baseball to watch, and now we look ahead to the hot stove season.
I think when we last talked, my World Series was Indians Nationals, if I'm remembering correctly. And I couldn't have been more wrong, but I mean, the baseball that we saw in October was still quality pretty much all the way. I mean, it was kind of weird at the same time. Just the amount of home runs. I don't think we've ever seen that in the postseason before. You know, we heard pitchers saying the baseballs were different. They were like slicker and kind of harder to grip. Maybe that's why we saw so many home runs, but that didn't hurt Justin Verlander that much. He was a machine in the postseason. But it was still really interesting. The World Series was great. That Game 5 was amazing, but also if it's kind of one of those things that if we saw it on a regular basis, I think baseball would be really exhausting to watch on a nightly basis. But, something every once in a while to see is pretty special. I think that Game 7 wasn't all that interesting. I kept waiting for the Dodgers to make their comeback, and it never really happened. So we didn't get the Game 7 I think we were all kind of hoping for. But all in all, an amazing series, and kind of sets the stage. Now gets us started for the hot stove, and this is our hot stove preview episode. We're going to get into it here in a second, but before we do that, quick reminder to subscribe to this show if you don't already. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, etc. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please consider rating and reviewing the show as well. Just a quick programming note, we took some time off, as Drew said, after the regular season. We're going to take another break here, but we're going to check in during the winter meetings in December. And then we're going to get things really started after the new year, after we do our Rotoworld Baseball Draft Guide. That'll be available online and in print in early February. So we're going to be working on that pretty soon here. So it's going to get pretty interesting. So make sure to subscribe to the show. We're going to have a bunch of new episodes coming up after the start of the new year. So in the meantime, we'll dig into the hot stove here, and we're going to start going over some of the top free agents, maybe some of the best potential fits. I'm actually going to read from Matthew Pouliot's top 111 free agents. He just came out with this column on Thursday, right after the World Series came to a close. You can go to rotoworld.com to check out the full list. But I figure we'll dig into this list a little bit. His number one, and this is sort of interesting after the World Series, Yu Darvish. Bad World Series, no two ways about that, but I don't think that's really going to cost him here. Still elite ace upside. You look at that strikeout potential that he has. I mean, he can be a huge difference maker during the regular season for really any contender. I mean, you think about teams that could be in on him. I mean, it's probably going to be all the big budget teams. Who knows if it'll be the Dodgers, but, I think the regular cast of characters will be after him. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's even like non-contenders that are just trying to make that next push. I think of like the Phillies, maybe even the Twins.